wish there was a light or something that would flash on.
Well, I think
We're on yet?
live from downtown Houston is Learn to Paint Tuesdays with Ginger Cook and Sammy at the controls. Sammy, are you out there? Sammy, not us. Supposed to be over on Ginger, you silly bear. Let me help you. There we are.
Hi,
there
you guys.
You are.
Hello, hello. Everybody's going to see our setup there. We got John at the controls and Sammy working on stuff. And if you're new to this channel, what we're going to be painting tonight is something fun and different. And you think we do 3 shows a week, and I'm telling you what, we do some different stuff here, and it's lots of fun. And you guys, your participation makes it fun. The live shows really make it fun. There's nothing like people pointing out things like, gosh, did you realize that you were using both one blue and saying it was 2 different colors of blue, and I'm going, oh, no, I didn't, because, just because you get your eyes fixed doesn't mean suddenly you got literate, I guess. Still got to read the labels on the tubes. So what are we going to do tonight? We're going to be painting something, some flowers tonight, but we're going to do it with a sort of a different twist before we get started. We let some people catch up that maybe haven't shown up yet. So if you're new to our show and you just happen to be stumbling across the surfing the YouTube net, and you saw us, you're going, who are these people? Who's the people with the teddy bear and who are people with Sammy? Who are these guys, right? And I'm an acrylic artist, and we're going to show you how to paint some acrylics, and we're going to be using something a little different tonight. I'm going to kind of introduce you to a product made by Golden. It's called Absorbent Ground. This is white, and happen to have a jar of it sitting in the studio, and you've got to use this stuff up eventually, so I figured we'll just use it up with you guys. And back when I was working with at Jerry's Artorama over a year ago, for like 6 years, I taught in Houston right here. I taught regular acrylic painting on Fridays at Jerry's, and thus you see my t-shirt, and I painted my t-shirt with the paint tubes and the palette knives and stuff, because I really got tired of clothes getting wrecked, so I just decided to wreck them first. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, beat it to the punch.
Beat them to the punch. And so anyway, acrylic paints, you can paint the heavy body acrylics on your clothes, and it does work, and it does launder and all that stuff. Okay, so somebody's going to ask about that, so absolutely true. So I'm going to show you a little bit about acrylic ground. Acrylic ground will if you start with an 8x10 canvas, all right? What I did was, and I have a separate video for that, which we will put up tonight, which is about, I don't know, maybe 8 minutes, that shows you how I did this. But basically, I covered this little 8x10 canvas with acrylic ground, all right? And I let it dry for over 24 hours, all right? That's really important. We let it dry, all right? So, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you why would you want to do that? Because it seems like a lot of planning ahead, right? But I'm going to show you how to do that. And I want to just say that if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you like these lives, we really, subscribe, and then push that little bell button thing, and then you'll be notified, because sometimes we just do a sneak live lesson. You'll see us do that, and sometimes you just get to be a fly on the wall in my studio while I'm painting during the week, and that can be fun too. So anyway, last night we painted, if you're wondering, if you missed us, last night we painted this I think really great seascape, and really pretty. A very simple painting, but it looks complicated, and it's not. So I talked to you about that. Tonight we're starting with our little canvas. If you want to scoot down to my table now.
Let me scoot down there. Let me tell you guys, the picture-in-picture is still not available. They did an upgrade to the software and seem to have removed it.
Yeah, John's going to ride him tomorrow. He's all hacked off. And
not a happy camper.
Not a happy camper. We're going to be, this is happy land. We're going to be happy tonight.
What was that ground you're using again?
This is called Golden Absorbent Ground. Now, it's a little bit different. They also make one for pastel artists, if you're using chalk. And this is really meant for paint, all right? And you'll notice I add color to it. Like I say, I have a video on how I did this, which we'll put up. But just now this is done, okay? So what I want to do is, I'm going to paint these pictures of these tulips, all right? And I want this was the original photograph. Everybody says, what's your reference photo? I don't want an ugly old black background like that. Some people may like it. I don't, all right? That's very You know, so we're going to turn this more arty. Okay, we're going to make this a little more fine art. So I've changed it to a black and white photo just so that I'm not influenced by all these colors. All right. Now, what I want, I've decided, I've looked at that, and gosh, the sky's the limit. Sometimes it's just hard to decide what you want to do. What I want to do is have sort of a nice, runny, kind of abstracty beige background, okay? And then I'll put my tulips on top of it. So I've got a little mister bottle here. This has just got water in it. And I'm just going to mist my canvas like this. All right, just that you see it's kind of shining up a little bit. Probably didn't even need to do that. And I'm going to take kind of a large brush, large soft brush. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to try some color here. Nothing too crazy. We're just going to try, let's just try a little burnt umber. See what happens. I'm not putting all my colors out all at once because in the studio here, see, where did I say burnt umber went? Let's try glasses. Here, burnt umber. All right.
Well, I know. I like last night's
everybody's, this is burnt umber. I can read it. Yeah, I do read. I just, you know, the glasses usually stay up on my head. Okay, so now I'm just going to do this a little bit like that. Now look what happens when I touch this like this. Just, it's going to sort of melt like I'm on paper. Do you see that? And it's going to show some of the color that, some of the texture, okay? And I like that. So what else could I put with that? How about burnt sienna? That would be pretty, okay? So let's try a little of that. Just not one color here, okay? So let's try a little burnt sienna, like that. See, that's pretty. Going to just sort of rub that in there, like that. Here we go, like this. A little bit of absorbent ground. Like that. I want this sort of beige thing. Now, if I were to hold it up a little bit like this, I would just want you to see this. I could get it to run a bit. See that? See that? I mean, I could make it run if I wanted to, see? All right, if I wanted to.
Well, apparently like that. You want to. We're
well, I did because I made it run. All right, so I just want you to see how you might, you know, if you have it on an easel, how you might change that, okay? Now you see how it's, now look how it's going into the textured area that I left with my palette knife. Do you see that? And so I've got this sort of interesting background. Now this is a little heavier paint here. So maybe what I want to do is sort of darken the sides. That's a good trick. Did you know that? Darken the corners of something and then let it be a little bit lighter in the middle. And then you sort of got a vignette. Did you guys know that? So see, I'm kind of coming around here like this, darkening the corners. Now I didn't get it as wet down here. You see that? It's not really wet right there. So I'll just wet the canvas right there. And this really acts an awful lot like watercolor paper. What you've done is you've made your canvas sort of very much, not sort of, but very much like a watercolor paper. And let's put some of this burnt sienna. And you know, I like that too, that sort of burnt sienna color. I'm going to rinse my brush. Let me see, I've got some rags around here. Here we go. Just put a little more water with it, see, because I can push. That's going to absorb into my background, all right, like that. And let's see, here's that. Let's see, kind of bring this down like that. Maybe make it a little darker down here. Use the side of your brush to sort of, you know, I mean, you could do any colors, but this is sort of a nice accent piece like that. And then maybe if you want to be the last of the big spenders. You love that. Did you remember that term, John? Did you ever use that term?
Yeah, back to the big spenders.
Last
Absolutely.
of the big spenders, right?
Hey, we got somebody who's asking a question. Diane's asking, will using an absorbent ground have an effect on the brush life?
On the what?
The brush life. You know how a gesso is rough? That's not a rough surface.
No, this is really smooth.
It's
this is a very smooth surface. If nothing, it would probably extend it. Yeah. You know, if that would be your thing. So I want something else a little different going on in here. So I'm going to be bold. Should we be bold?
Oh, let's go for it.
Let's go bold. I mean, I'm making this up as we go. So let's be bold, right? Let's take a little dazzling purple. Maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want white too. That'd be good.
I'm looking over here at the palette for a moment.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that the labels are just kind of arbitrarily placed around, and the colors seem to not be matching up with anything.
Well, I've got burnt umber there, and I put some burnt sienna there, which really goes over there.
And the purple goes where? Just so we know.
The purple would go over here.
Okay. All right.
That's good. That's good. That's good fit in, Babalu.
Just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
No, you're not.
Okay. All right.
You know, you just do what I say. Don't do what I do. For goodness sakes, you're not just supposed to follow what I do. You're supposed to listen to the words and do what I say. You know, not saying I'm doing it, right?
Yeah,
not
totally
saying
my fault. Go ahead now.
I'm not saying I'm living this stuff. I'm just teaching it, right? Okay.
We're going to be brave and bold.
That was it. I remember that. That's what was it? Where are we at? Here's some white. Now here, see, this says titanium white. See?
And you're going to put in the titanium white
And this
section?
says titanium white right here. Okay, I'm going to try the white first, and then we'll see. All right. So what you do with the toothbrush is you wet it, come up here like this, and do something like that, right? You know, kind of where you just kind of do it like that. Now you take your thumb. It's fast, and your fingers on here. This is really important. More people screw up using a toothbrush. Not to be offensive, but a lot of people do, right? It's so easy. And you're going to rake your thumb along here like this.
Ooh, snow.
Yeah, kind of a snow effect. And then you can also hold it like this. Hold it down like this. And do that. Now what's going to happen is, because this is so wet, this is going to kind of spread out, right? But that's pretty, isn't it?
Sandy's asking, does it take longer for the paint to dry on this absorbent ground?
I have no idea. We're going to see. I have no idea, Sandy. We're just doing it, right? And we're going to do an isolation coat and everything. So now we're going to do a little dark brown here.
Oh, not too much.
You know, we don't like that?
I like the white showing. Well, I don't know. I mean, you're going to be putting nice, pretty flowers over the top of it, right?
We're going to put white, pretty flowers over the top of it. See, here's some dark, right, like that. You got to kind of, maybe a little purple too with the brown. Let's get bold here.
The original ground was put on with a palette knife. We'll have a video
yes.
up on that separate.
Yes, on how to do that. That's separate. You just, you know, these things take, you know, it's overnight to dry, so we can't be doing everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty, but I like that. You know, I like the purple. And maybe
I
a
know
little.
you guys would love to have ginger on 24 hours a day, but.
Here we go. So there we go. All right, so there's that. I want to say something. Can I do a public service announcement?
Oh, I love it. Should I come up to your face?
Sure. Got to do a public service
You can let
announcement.
that dry a little bit, so you might as well.
I just want you to know that John and I went and got free movie tickets today. One free movie ticket for AT&T, and the way it was explained to me on the phone was I had been with them forever, and I had been complaining, and I was some sort of platinum person.
Platinum person.
It's so funny to be now. It's terrible to be this gullible. Just the guys, because I think I was whining about something to them, you know, probably my bill. And they said, oh, no, you're a platinum person. And guess what? You get free movie tickets every Tuesday because you've been. I said, well, how do you get to be a platinum person?
Couldn't answer it.
And he says, I don't know, but your name came up. Well, we're at the movie theaters today, and it's on the big screen. It says every Tuesday, if you're an AT&T customer, apparently we're all platinum members.
Everybody
is, not just me. I thought I was so special, but I've been with them since 1990, but that doesn't count for diddly squat, apparently. I
told you they were telling that to appease you that one day you were yelling at them.
I know you did, but you know, I like to think
you felt special.
I wanted to feel special. Who doesn't want to feel special? You know, remember that show Queen for a Day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to have that sort of feeling, you know. But anyway, apparently, we're just a run-of-the-mill customers, and you get a free movie ticket.
Buy one, get one. It's not free.
Buy one, get one free. All right. So, all right. I guess that's in lieu of senior discounts. You know, I guess that seniors don't count anymore. It's just that. You know. What we're going to do now is we're going to dry this picture with a hairdryer, okay? Now, I'm going to hold it fairly far away for a minute. I'm going to move everything, okay? And while we're doing that, John, would you be so kind as to read that email we got from a very, very helpful viewer of John's? And this is one of the reasons I wore my T-shirt, because we're going to do a little experiment today, too. So John's going to read that while I dry this.
You give me such advance warning. I know we talked about it at dinner, but I didn't bring it up. Here we go.
All right, so you close me off, and I'm going to start this, all right?
All right. All right, we turned off Ginger. Somebody wrote in, this is in regards to the video that I did, Tammy and I did on the paints from Jerry's. Individual writes in, I think it was Kelly. Hello, Ginger. I saw your video that John did with what you ordered from Matisse. I bought paint from them for the first time during the sale, and after watching your color comparison videos to figure out what colors to add to my collections, thank you for doing those videos. Don't forget to look for those. It's the red and the yellow right now. Red and blue, I think. We got green to come up. Thank you for doing those. I just wish that I could do them for every color. Wish you could do them for every color. Anyway, the reason I'm contacting you is because they have had to replace my whites. I'm currently waiting for the third time for them to be shipped because they are very dried up. My 250 mil is dry like silly putty. I sent a video to you on Facebook, private message. Please don't do that because we do not look at Facebook all the time. If you have something to send us, like a video or something, we will tell you how to do that. Just use the contact us form. That was a little side note. This didn't leave me very happy with the company. Both you and Cinnamon swear by them, so I'll try to keep a positive attitude. In the meantime, I just wanted you to double check your whites and make sure that they don't need to be replaced. Jerry thinks it may have had a bad shipment. I'm sure you have tons of paint, and I didn't want you to put it away and pull it out weeks later thinking it's something you did, and maybe they wouldn't replace it. Just looking out for you. Thanks for the work you do. I'm a person who didn't know I could paint until recently. I'm 46 years old. Your videos are very helpful. So again, if you guys are getting the paint, like we just did it. I did a video. I just put the date on the bottle and put it up on our shelf. I didn't open them. So Ginger has them over there, and she's going to open them. Ginger's back. Ginger, I have the two paints over there for you, the 250.
Yeah, so
and the
you guys,
500.
don't you want to know now? Because isn't that just a little disturbing?
It's very disturbing.
I mean,
I just dated, like I said, I just dated it and put it up on our shelf.
Yeah, so all right, we're opening the first one. You ready for that?
That looks good.
It looks good to me.
I like how you use your fingers instead of...
Well, I mean, how would I know otherwise?
I would use a palette knife.
Well, of course you would, but then how fun would that be? Getcha. All right, that's fun. So I've got a good thing of paint. Now what I'm going to do...
That's a 500 is a good one.
That's the big one, and I'm going to squirt some water in the top of this because I opened it, all right?
And we're going to use that one for a while.
Then I'm going to use a paper towel and clean my finger off. Well, I don't know. I should clean it off that well. I'm going to open the other one too, okay? But so far, I've not had that experience, all right? So I'm very relieved, right? Because that would be very unhappy.
I would be very unhappy.
So far, now, I want to make sure I get this, you thread this back on correctly, all right? Now that's on, and that should be good. And one of the things you should do, and I'm going to let's just talk about this for just a second. When you buy paints, particularly when you get a little hoarding going on, not that anybody is, but what I'm saying, they had a sale on, 6 tubes of whatever and you bought it, right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to take a pen and somewhere here, take a pen. What are you
going to do? Put the date on it?
I'm going to put the date on it, which
is on the side of the bottle already.
I don't care. I'm going to put it so I know it.
I see.
I want to know it. I bought this in February.
February 27th.
Oh, just 2017 is all I have to know. 2017. That way, I will grab, if I'm grabbing paint, I will grab the oldest ones first. Make sense? All right, so that's that one.
Let's see you do it with the 250 now. That's the one she had problems with.
All right, so we're going to open, this is the 250, and they've got the date on it, 2/24/17.
They don't, I do.
Oh, John wrote the date on it.
So you already do that.
Oh, John already did that. Oh, I thought they did it. No?
No.
All right, so now look. It's
not as smushy.
it's no good. It's hard as a rock. It's spoiled. See that? It's not even close. It needs to go back. So thank you very much, dear customer, who
Kelly.
told us. What's her name?
Kelly.
Kelly, thank you. Because look, I can't do anything with this. See? Sorry. So I got a bad one.
Apparently the 250s have been sitting around on the shelves too long or something.
Well, whatever the reason, I got a bad one. So we will write them and tell them this is no good. Now, how many times did she try to get this replaced?
She's on her third time.
Well, just tell them we don't want these stupid jars anymore, that we can replace them with tubes. That this isn't funny, and we've also, unless they would like us to keep going on YouTube complaining, I don't think they want us to keep coming on YouTube explaining how these are bad. Because if I were them, wouldn't want that, And this is, this has been, the one was fine and this is not. Did you check the tubes?
Tubes are smushy.
The tubes are smushy. So it was just this one, all right?
Yep, just
well,
the 250.
this is never a bad idea to check these things. I've gotten, there was a store one time. Sometimes when certain stores are having sales, I normally have that experience with raw umber. raw burnt umbers.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we
those
had
are the
that.
ones that are most likely to do that to you. All right, so I'm going to wash. It's not really dry, but that just take some matte too. But for sure the medium environment. I would use the matte medium, but this is still too tacky for me to do that. So all right, so John's got that. He's going to return that to them. I hope they're just not sending the same jar around and around the country.
Well, I'm going to check for a batch number on it or a lot number.
Okay, so John's going to do that. So, all right, so let's continue on with our tulips now. And aren't you glad we discovered that? Because I really appreciate that. This is the, you know, when you go to Amazon or something and you buy something and you read those reviews and you get down there to the review where, you know, 600 people hated something and you read why, then what do? You know what I mean? So customer.
You don't buy it.
You don't buy it. What's customer reviews? I mean, the one thing I will say about the internet is the customer reviews help us consumers stay savvy. How's that? So normally speaking, I would prefer to have these tulips with an isolation coat before I started. But remember, tulip is just, let's just talk about the shape for a minute. Let me just bend down here and grab my board.
I see above the barcode, it doesn't say lot number or anything, but it says HO44304. So that could be the lot number.
Okay.
So keep your eyes out for that if you're getting the paint.
All right. So all right. So here's
really
the shape.
program.
Here's the shape I'm talking about. You see that? That's your shape. There's no. You don't need a traceable for this. Give yourself the idea that you actually possibly might have known how to draw when you learned handwriting. All right. So here's my first tulip. I don't really like how fat the stems are. The reality doesn't do it for me, you know. So I'm going to make mine a little thinner. I don't care how they were originally designed, you know, by you know who. We're changing them, right? All right. So I'm going to say that I've got a stem kind of going this way. Here's our big one. So how big do I want to make this? Like this, maybe. I want this fairly big, and then I want kind of another one right here, like that. I'm going to say here's another tulip. Okay. Like that, and then we've got a little tiny one tucked back here. That's pretty. Okay, I'm just going to kind of look at our picture, and then over here, I mean, this is not, you know, particularly tricky design. Here's this one petal that's coming up here, this shape. I'm just using some new pastel chalk to draw it on, and then I've got another one kind of right here. And I don't think I have this big enough, so I'm going to just come up here like this, and I want this one to be larger. See, now that I'm doing it, I'm going to start increasing the size. You know, you and I are creating this together. It's another one of those, oh, Ginger's, oh, she's doing this live again. Who knows what she'll get, right? But all right, so we've got these stems. This one's coming here. Got this stem coming kind of off to the side here. And then right here, we've got another tulip that's coming right like this. And then we're going to have some leaves coming this way and some up like this. Oh, fun, great fun, right? So that's our picture, and this can be, we're doing this 8 by 10. This could be very pretty, you know, longer, you know, and wider. So you've got this interesting background that you've painted. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and paint some tulips. Now, here's a couple things you can do. You could keep it all into the browns and make this very monochromatic. We're not going to do that because that's really not my deal. But you could. All right. At this point, you can keep it all in the browns. But we're not going to do that. What I want to do now is put my palette out, and I'm going to just take some paint, some white heavy body paint, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint in this, and no water on the brush now, all right, absolutely none. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this first tulip in like this. And it's very smooth to paint on, even though we've got all this this ground on it and all this texture. Extremely smooth to paint on, which is, you know, nice for us, right? Like that. Here's this tulip, and I'm using a ruby satin silver angle brush with, look at the nice edge I can get here. All right, so there's the first tulip. Now, the reason we're doing it white is because I want these fairly bright, and they'll paint better if they're white. They'll be more effective if they're white first. All right. So then let's just come over here and do this one. I'm going to bring that one over a little bit closer to here, kind of enlarge it as I'm painting it. Okay. Like that. Years ago, you know, I did an art show in Laguna Beach, California, one woman art show, and they had I don't know, about 30 of my paintings, and they asked me for some, just maybe some pencil sketches that they could use to sort of fill up a couple small walls and an alcove, and mostly I rarely have stuff like that. Okay, here's our thing, and then we've got another one coming right here, kind of in front of that. Because of the way acrylics are, if I didn't like this, I would just, paint over it. So, I rarely just make any kind of pencil sketches. Though, designing a pencil sketch is never a terrible idea. They always tell you that in art school to do that. It's just, mostly I just don't, but one could. And it would be very correct to do that. Okay, so now we've got a nice big one right here, and I'm going to move it over just slightly. Okay, like that. We're going to say there's this one. Now here's the deal. I'm going to rinse my brush now and pinch it off because the paint's starting to dry in it. And then come again like that. There we go. So it's slightly damp, but I've wiped it off on a towel here. So here's and it doesn't, this one's kind of rounded at the top. It doesn't really, it's not really pointy. This side there, it's a little bit pointy, but not so much. Okay, so here's this is kind of a nice wide fat tulip. This is sort of fun. I like this tulip. Okay, and then there's like another little one right here. So there's this little tulip shape. Tulips are fun. They're not hard to paint. They're fun to do. And then we've got a little tiny one tucked in back here. That's kind of in the background here. It's kind of next to this, and it's going to be tucked in behind some leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a nice number. I'm not going to put 6. 5, 7, 9. Those are the numbers you want to see. Okay. So all right. So there's our tulips, and we're not going to work too much on the leaves yet. We'll do the leaves last. So when you get to this far, and you're kind of happy with this part, okay, like this, and you've figured out that you've got it the way you want it. All right. Now, what if you needed to erase something? Could you with this? What would happen if you tried to? I think if you did, for instance, suppose I wanted to erase this, I think I would end up erasing the little of my background too. So then I'd have to put, for instance, I'd have to put a little of my background color in here like this. Do you see that? If I wanted to, let's see, where's our burnt umber? That was right here. Let's just come over here with a little burnt umber. I just want to show you what I'm talking about. That was a little purplier, but if I wanted to, suppose I wanted a little bit darker next to one of these tulips.
So even though you dried it?
Oh yeah, so this is I don't have an isolation coat, so this is
that's what the isolation coat would be for. So your background would be permanently
there. The background. That's why you dry it and put an isolation coat. But I could come back here, for instance, and make a little shadow. Here, if you didn't do an isolation coat, you see this would all blend in. You see, you wanted it something a little bit darker here, like that. You can come back and play with this a little bit. All right, and and even darken the corners again. If you haven't put any varnish on this, you can come back and get quite a nice effect. All right. So
Suzanne is asking why an odd number of flowers.
There's something that some mathematicians and I don't know. It's an art rule, and it goes way back thousands of years. It's part of the golden mean thing. Apparently, God does it too.
It's
just everybody. Apparently, it's like branches are done like that. 5, 7, 6.
If it's even, your eyes will pair things. It just pairs things up.
Yeah, but but it's in nature too. It's found in nature too. You could do 2 rocks or a pair of people, right? But then you don't. But other than that, you want you'd want 3, not 4 or 5, and stuff like that. And I guess you could look up. It's part of the rule for the golden mean, and it goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's a math thing. That's what I always tell people. It's a math thing. I don't know. It's a math thing. All right. So what I need to do now is dry that. Okay. I'm going to dry these flowers, and they're pretty tacky. So I'm just going to put the brush in water and dry that, and then we'll add some color to them. Okay.
Okay.
Can you back me away a little bit here?
So you can see what you're doing.
Yeah. Just back up a little bit.
Yep. 1 second. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. So you can kind of see what we've got, right?
Yep. All right. While she's doing that, I've got some art pieces to share with you. I have one from Ashwini, I think is how you pronounce it. I apologize for anybody's name that I screw up. This is our garlic and garlic jar. One of our lessons on our library at Ginger Cook Live Gallery. And this was really very well done. I see a question go by here. I forgot, what is an isolation coat? She would put on a matte finish, matte varnish between the background she just painted and her paint. That would protect that background from being washed away, because you're basically on paper right now. The absorbent ground is making it like paper, and it'll just keep painting up. So if you want to keep that background, you want to make sure you do that. We just got in from Penny, Wildfire. Our little horsey that is, again, in our members area. This one is also available for sale and also for rent. We're starting to rent some of the lessons as well. So this one, I believe, rents for $4.95 for 72 hours, 3 days. Gives you a whole weekend to get it done, which would be more than enough. I believe it's a two or 2.5 hour lesson. So take a look at that. That's a good one. And we're back with Miss Ginger. And again, we apologize for no picture with Ginger. It's just we don't have that capability right now. And she's back.
All right, so I'm going to take away my black and white picture for a minute. And I'm just going to get out the colored one now. All right. And what we see is that that these tulips have a lot of yellow in them. Can you see that? There's a lot of yellow highlights. Now, yellow only paints over white. See, it's had yellow medium right here. Okay. And another color we haven't shown you. Did we have that out? We don't know. We don't have it out, but would we have it even? Transparent umber. I like this color. It's called, nope, that's not it. It's called That's Not It. Do you love it?
Love it.
All right. So
New color.
All right, what color am I looking for here? All right, we're going to get cadmium yellow light. Now, the reason that you might want that, I'll put it next to here, it's slightly lighter, okay? And you can't mix it.
So you can't
add white to this and get that. So just know that. So if you were just looking for something to buy, not that, if you're just saying, oh, I'm at the art store, I'm so full of wonderful paints, I probably don't need anything, but I want to buy something. That's what I'd suggest, right? So when you take a little of that and you put it with white, let me just show you what happens. It's very bright here, okay? Now I'm going to take a little of this and put it with white. See the difference? So purple, reason we put out purple is that purple tones down white. Now that made it pretty gray, didn't it?
Yep.
That kind of grayed it out a lot. So let's put some more white with that. Okay. And let's warm this up. So one of the things we can do is add a little yellow oxide. Let's just say that just because it came in a tube doesn't mean you're stuck using it. You know what I mean? You can, look, I'm going to add a little yellow oxide to that, but that's a lovely color now, isn't it? This is soft yellow color. So I want to come inside my tulips like this.
Wait a minute, where are you?
I'm down here, right over here like this. Oh, I'm sitting here in the chair. Where are you, John?
I'm over here with my bear.
Good. Keep tracking that, darling.
Doing the best I can.
I know. There you go. So I'm going to say that here's a little bit of the yellow we're just going to put there. And I'm going to try a little more white with that, a little bit more yellow white here. It's just come along like this. Say here's some of this yellow. It's coming on the inside of these flowers like that, maybe a little bit right here. And acrylics are all about layering. So let's take a little bit of this brighter color all by itself, and I'm just going to show you. We're going to add a little bit of this to this flower. I'm just going to start with a little bit of yellow here. I can cover it up. Yellow is a really easy color to cover up, so you don't have to put it. I think part of you would want to put it exactly where the yellow was in the picture. Don't waste your life doing stuff like that. Everything paints over, oh, it's right here and I got too much over here. No worries here, okay? So, all right, so we've got that. Now let's take a little bit of the yellow oxide and let's add a little bit of a shadow color. And part of what I need is a little cad red medium, okay, because we're going to go into the oranges. So I said I've got that right there. Just putting out colors as I need them. All right, so here's a little cad red medium, and I want just a little bit of that color right there. See that? Just a tiny bit while this is still wet. A little bit more of the yellow oxide. Cad red medium. Oh, let's try a little bit of cad yellow medium. Let's see if I can't I want this sort of brighter color. And then, oh yeah, you want a rag to be able to tap your brushes off on. That's real important. Yeah, again, you could have done these, at this point, you're just talking about lights and darks. You can make these tulips any color. All right, you absolutely you could make purple ones or magenta ones or whatever, but you still go about it the same way. Okay, with the lights and the darks. And so, all right. So what do I know? I'm going to tap that off there, and I know that, for instance, this is a little bit of a shadow here. I've got a little bit of a shadow coming right down here on this tulip, here at the bottom, coming this way. Starting to layer on my colors. All right. So here's a little bit of a shadow right there. It's going to come up like this. Now that's not the final color of the tulip, but that will help me, figure out where I want it. Okay. Now what you do then is you rinse your brush, wipe it off on the rag like this, and then very gently, because this is still wicking, sort of fuzz this out a bit so that it's not such a hard line. Okay. So it's more out of focus. Okay, because you can do this because of the material you're painting on. The blending on something like this is super easy. So if I were to take a little bit of white, for instance, right here, like that, put a little paint, wipe it off, and come over here like this, see, and it's going to dry slightly lighter than whatever you do. Put a little white right there, tap it off, come up here like this, and say there's the top of this little petal, wipe off the brush, and just sort of blend this right over the edge here. Just sort of tap that in. See my little white highlight? Okay, let's just do that over here too. So what were we talking about at dinner tonight that had us laughing so much, John? That was really fun. You remember? What were you doing at dinner? Are you reading comments?
Yeah, I'm reading the comments. We had one that says, from Anna Marie, how long does it take the studio to critique the works that we email in through the gingercooklive.gallery? Are you caught up right now?
I was caught up as of yesterday, and then a whole bunch more came in. You have to understand that when we had eye surgery, I couldn't type for like 3 days. I could see, but I couldn't type. And then I started to do them usually I get back to everybody within 3-4 days. Yeah. Sometimes the very day, and usually within 3-4 days I get back to you. If you haven't heard from me then, just say, by the way, did you get my piece? I'm not offended. Yeah, I did. So, or maybe I didn't. And sometimes you guys send me stuff and you don't send the piece with it, and I'll write back and say, hey, by the way, happy to help. Were you thinking about including the actual painting with the request for comments? And if you're sending me something that that was an original piece, once a month our members can do that. It's an original piece. What I'm going to suggest you do, and I think I'm going to keep going with this one, you guys, because we're getting such a good blend here. Okay, so we're going to increase the color a little bit as long as we're doing it. There we go. As long as we're doing that. See, while this is still wet, do you see what I'm saying? While this is still wet, I'm going to just start blending in some color here like this, so that I can use the side of the brush and let this melt into there. And you see how it's wicking? Where's my magenta? I think I want some magenta in this flower. We're just going to do one flower at a time. Probably with something like this, it's as easy as anything to do that. So here's a little magenta, and that's not where the magenta goes, but you know what? That's where I want it, so too bad. Deal with it, John.
I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just
it's the magenta, right? I thought that was the magenta, is it?
Doesn't look very magenta to me, but
it isn't. It's actually red. It's really helpful to read the labels. That's Naphtha Crimson. I know we had some magenta out. That's Cad Red Medium. Ah, here it is. Okay, so where did I say that went? Over here. Better put it in the right place. Here we go, magenta. Although actually the red was probably the right color anyway. So
Marty's asking, does this blend differently than on canvas?
Oh yeah,
Big
a lot
time.
differently. This really blends easy. Yeah, absolutely. You betcha.
Like a watercolor.
It's like watercolor, and that absolutely, it's like watercolor. You see what's happening here? Do you see how beautifully that's blending in here? And then what you can do is just rinse your brush, wipe it, and then just kind of, if you add a little water, it just sort of diffuses even more, like that, see? Like that. See how soft that is? It's a really pretty blended look. It's kind of cool. Let's take a little magenta now, add a little bit darker here. Now look what happened. See, isn't that pretty? And it's blending in beautifully to all this and diffusing as we go. There's a little bit of that light yellow and white. And I can come down here like this and add to that. Look at there. Okay. And I want a little bit of yellow oxide right here, just a little bit of a shadow color of that. maybe with a little bit of magenta. What would happen if I did that? Oh, that's a nice color. Right like that. Just a little bit of a shadow color right there. Right here like that. See? So you see how it's really blending nicely. And then here's some naphtha crimson, which is your red. Now see, I'm using the outside and fairly thick to get that. Okay. All right, so that's a start with this tulip. I think we've got a pretty good start. I know I want it a little bit darker here, a little bit darker here, and out around the edge. Let's try a bright orange color. So here's red and yellow, makes a bright orange color. Let's put some magenta and cad yellow medium. That's a really bright color of orange. Now, I'll wipe my brush and then come along here like this and just start layering this on here like that. Like, there we go. And if we did white and red and made pink, let's do that too, because there's some pink in this. Okay, now look, see, I've got a little white with this. A little bit of pink here coming up this way. All right, now, pinching the brush, rinse it, pinch it. Now, see, this is what you'd call a hard line bite here, but look at how you can just diffuse that line out there. See that? See how that'll blend in? It just sort of disappears. So you've got a little bit of leeway when you're painting this. There's a little bit of yellow here and here. This is a little bit darker in here now. And it's going to have a tendency to want to dry a little lighter on you. All right. So it's going to want to do a little bit of that. And we're just going to move that down here like this. Darken this. Pull some cad red medium and come all the way up here around the outside of this flower like that. Now, as long as I'm doing that, let's see, where else could I put this color? I know I've got to, so back me out a little bit. You're a little close on for me, John, right now. I need to be back out so I can see. This is where you'd stop, you know, if you were doing this, and maybe look at it in a mirror, hold it up to a mirror, kind of see where you are from a distance. All right. So here's a little bit of white. And while this is still wet, I can diffuse this a little bit. There you go.
Sherry's asking if you have an isolation coat, would it still blend as easy?
No.
Because you basically
once you do the isolation coat, it's not blending at all.
It's
You
just
know,
back to a regular
so you
cut
have
canvas.
to decide what you're going for here, what your preference would be. All right, and that's, you know, that's absolutely, you know, there. Let's try it. I want a bright orange now. We're just playing with this. Want a bright orange color right here. So you can, as long as it's wet, it's going to blend in with whatever you've got going. Now I could dry it and do another coat of something. All right. For instance, I can go ahead and dry it. I'll just let that sit for a minute because we're not done with that flower, but I'm going to let that sit. And we've got some green coming over it and so forth. So we're going to go on to the next flower. Let's just do this one here. Let's just say we've got this one coming up here like that. And let's go into some orange like that with some yellow. Okay, like that. Now I'm going to rinse the brush and just barely touch this. Okay, like that. And look how beautifully that's blending. Okay, so I know I've got another little petal right here like this in the middle, like this. But look at how beautifully it's blending, and it's melting all these colors together. Okay, up here to the top, like that. And then there's a little bit of a darker, petal back here that you don't see in the background. Okay, and let's just take a little bit of magenta. This is why you want all three reds. You know, you want all three reds here. So I'm going to just make it a little bit darker. All right, so I'm going to leave, and again, this is just the first coat. We got to dry it and add detail, but this is what you'd get so far. And you're going, yeah, I don't know, Ginger, it doesn't look like anything to me. But you've got to be able to get this far first. Does that make sense? You've got to be able to get this far first and understand what it's going to do for you when you do it. So let's see. Where's our white? We ended up with a lot of colors underneath a lot of other colors. That's really disappointing about that white in the jar, John. If that lady hadn't told, if that gal hadn't
Well, it
written
seems that a lot of people have the same problem too. A lot of people went running around checking all theirs, and it's all the same.
Oh,
Same
gosh.
lot numbers too.
Same lot number. Well, just
Couple different, but it's,
you know, and I understand it's free, so then you can sit there and say, well, it was free, so you know, but they're more than welcome to I don't have to have white. Here's the thing, white's a 1. Do you know what I mean when I say white's a 1?
I do.
You know, white's a 1, red's a 4, that kind of thing. Cad red medium's a 4. So brown's a 1. I use burnt umber all the time. I'd be happy to have a large jar of burnt umber. I'd exchange it
I'll
for
let 'em
any
know
other
that.
color that's 1. Doesn't have to be white.
Yeah,
If they don't have any good whites in that size and they want to just give me something, I'm happy to do that, right?
we're flexible.
You know, so I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be exactly that. So you're starting to put a little white highlight here, okay? Just a little bit like that. Starting to put that on the tulip. Now it's starting to look better. See, like that? Just a little bit of white highlight there. All right, moving on to this other tulip. Just bear with me here. I know this is kind of crazy. So anyway, this is just this ground. When would you use this ground color? I think that's the big question. When would you use this ground color? Well, you might use it. Let's see. I think I want some water in this little deal here. You might use it for a giant painting and do very, very soft background, then do an isolation coat and paint something over it. You could do that. Be good for abstracts. Anytime you want the feel of paper, you know, which is neat. You know, anytime you want the feel of paper, that would be good. You might want that. Okay, so here's a little water. Tap this off. Now I'm going to just define this petal right here, like that. And then part of this one. This one's a pretty dark flower right here, so there we go. Okay. I'm going to define that petal, which is getting a little magenta on the outside of this one. Okay. But here's another little petal right there. It's doing something. Okay, I think I need some, where's paper towels? I need paper towels right there. Onto my, really where it needs to be is right next to the water, okay? So let's just fold up something right there. Here, like that, okay. So that's a place, and this would be good. For instance, somebody was asking us about canvas boards last night. Do you remember that, John? And this would be a good stuff to put on your canvas boards, though probably modeling paste is less expensive than this. It would depend. It's, you know, it would just depend on what you were.
Modeling paste is going to give you a different type of response.
It's gonna, well, it's not. It'll be smooth though, but it won't be exactly this. How's that? It'll be smooth, but you won't quite get this.
So if you're trying to just paint on a smooth surface, you'd use a modeling paste instead.
Yeah, if you want, and it makes the. Well, we showed you how to do that on the garden steps. Remember?
Yes.
All right, so there's this one, and you generally want tulips a little bit darker at the base. You know what I mean? It just generally, it's just there's going to be a shadow side there. Even in this photograph where the light isn't all that good, you still want something a little darker down here toward the bottom for sure. So we're going to put that down here like that. All right, now we just keep moving along here. I'm going to do this one as I'm waiting for things to dry. We'll just keep moving along and do this. Most people, you know, when you have something like this, you have a project in mind where you want more of a soft look. You see how all the colors are sort of softening out, right? They're it's very, very soft. All right, you can kind of get a sense of how that's working. All right, there's this one. We're just going to say there's that one. And at this point, I will miss my canvas. So that's good. We'll do that. All right. All right. All right, so we've got another one a little hiding back here. Here's the thing. When you're doing a bouquet of flowers like this, when you're doing something like this, you've got it's like movie stars in a play or something. You've got the center. You've got one couple of them that are going to be like your leading man and leading woman that are a little bit better painted than all of them, and then you want some that are just sort of there for supporting actors. So they're going to require less detail. How's that? But you want some that are going to have more detail. And as you're painting around it, you know, remember this is changing on you like crazy, but just just kind of be aware of how, how your canvas is changing on you, and then see what you can do to facilitate it. And I think I'm going to put some glasses on. Oh, isn't that great? Go away. All right, got the glasses on. Now I want to just take a second and dry this, and then I'll keep going, okay?
Very good. You want to back up some?
Yes, please back up.
Please back out. There you go. All right. Last time we were talking about some of our lessons that are available in our store. Some you can purchase them for download, or I think we have them all for rent except for the European Village series. Those are only going to be available for download. But the other ones are for rent from $4.95. I think I got it as low as $1.95. You want to take a look at that. So that way you have 72 hours. We're going to rent it for 72 hours. And a lot of these you can get done in a 72-hour period. So just head over to gingercooklive.gallery and look under the store. And when you go and click on any of the lessons, once you go over to purchase it, it will tell you the prices. We haven't had a chance to update our website yet with all that other information. And we're back.
All right, we're back. I'm going to move something out of the way a little bit here.
Did the camera turn upside down? What's going on?
We're turning it upside down. If you want to see something, here's one of the tricks. If you want to paint something, one of the tricks is to put it upside down. This is absolutely a great trick. Put whatever you're painting upside down. Okay, because now you're going to see it differently. You're going to see it totally differently. Now pretend, what I want you to pretend is you're no longer painting tulips. This is the Martian word for hello, and you've been asked to copy it and translate it for them, okay? You're not painting flowers anymore. You're just painting whatever this is, okay? You're painting that, but it's the Martian word for hello. I know that sounds a little crazy, but we're going to get away from painting any of this except we're doing the Martian word for hello. Ready?
Ready.
All right, so that's our big plan, right? So, all right, so I can get behind that. So I'm not painting flowers anymore. I'm just going to paint that. And the reason you want to do that is because you know an awful lot about how you feel about painting flowers, all right? You've had a lifetime of deciding what your skill is with that. But, no one's ever asked you to translate, as far as I know, Martian. So you're not sure you can do it, but you're not at least convinced that you can't. How's that? I like to tell this. I like to tell the idea of that when you're now you're just painting. Guess what? You're just painting colors. That's all you're painting here. You're just painting colors, lights and darks. That's all you're painting. All right, nothing else.
A question from Rebecca: when you're doing your paintings on your own, do you ever rock out to music when you paint, or into what music if you do?
I don't.
What do you do?
I do not rock out to music when I paint.
Wait, tell us what you do, Ginger.
Well, what I do is I get an Audible book on tape and I listen to stories.
Stories.
I listen to beautiful stories. I have an Audible account and I listen to stories.
Candy is giving up on asking questions. Apparently, they're either not coming through or I'm not seeing them. Can somebody help us? I know she originally asked a question. Let me go back. Something about, which didn't make sense the way it was written.
Now, notice that we're putting white here.
Here. Did my question about the isolation coat around the drawing disappear? I'm not sure what that means.
You don't draw it and then isolate it. You put the isolation coat on and then draw your drawing on.
Oh, so otherwise you're
be
sealed underneath it.
Yeah, no, you don't put the isolation.
Right,
you put the isolation coat on. You put your varnish on.
Basically, you're saving as that whole layer as whatever you put.
Yeah, so whatever you just said happened to that layer, that's what you're doing, right?
Okay, that might be what we're.
That's what you're doing. Okay, so you absolutely are doing that. Okay. So that's all you're doing. So you're saving that, okay?
Would this ground be good for portraits from Carolyn?
It might be fun to do it for portraits, but you'd have to put it on very smoothly. You wouldn't want it all bumpy like that. The jar recommends putting on a very thin coat, just brushing it on.
Yeah.
Very thin.
Several coats too.
And then several coats. It sounded all very problematic. by the time I was listening. I said, really, you want me to do what now? Oh, seriously?
When I have a palette knife in hand ready to go, no, I don't think so.
I don't want to do that. That sounds like a
It
lot
sounds
of
like
trouble.
something that Sammy and I will play with, though, because this is more the surface we're used to painting on.
Well, I think I think you'd like it, John. I think you and Sammy would like it. I think you'd like it, but that's just that's just me.
Well, I'm going to get some 6x9s. I'm going to play with different surfaces.
Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of this burnt sienna color.
Oh, I certainly
Like
hope
that.
we got Candy's question answered.
I hope that's what you were wanting to know. Okay. All right, so we're going to just add a little bit of a contrast around this flower, so it shows up. See that? I'm just going to do a little bit more like that.
Oh, here's an interesting. Candy wants to know. You just can't say part of the background. Like if you did an isolation coat on some of it, like if you still wanted to blend your flowers and you knew where they're going to go, could you?
Well, there'd be no reason to do it at all then. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
There'd be no reason to do one. You wouldn't have to do one. I'm just saying you could, but you wouldn't have to do one, right? So absolutely at that point, there would be no benefit to doing it.
Unless you just wanted to protect your background from spillage or something?
No, there'd be absolutely none.
No.
Only if you just, because look, this has a tendency to want to wick a little bit.
Right.
And so if you didn't like that, that's when you do it. But you wouldn't necessarily, want to do it. Okay. Just something you can do. So a lot of artists might do that. How's that? A lot of artists might do that. Now you see, because I'm getting pretty good detail. Do you guys see that? I'm getting pretty good detail because what's happening is the acrylic paint is which is a plastic, really, basically is what you're saying it is, right? It's plastic. Now look, I'm just sort of reshaping this. See, I'm just coming out into my thing and reshaping this tulip.
That's not a tulip. That's a letter for the Martian hello.
That's right. It's a letter for the Martian hello.
Don't confuse me.
I'm sorry, John. You're right. So right. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse you. That's right.
I confuse easily.
I know. I've noticed that. We're right with you, John. We're all with you. You've got our support all the time. I just want you to know that.
I need it.
Okay. So now I'm going to just come around the tips of these, so this just sort of shows up a little more. Okay. Like that. Maybe just blend that in. So I kind of like that I didn't varnish it, actually. I like the fact I can blend in some more darker browns, and play with this a little bit. So, all right, so that's so far so good. I like that one. And I still feel like I need some brighter color. Here's some magenta. So right here, I'm going to take a little magenta on the brush. Right on this side, I'm going to come out here and just come out like that. Just like that. There you go. Kind of darken that up a little bit. All right, so that's that tulip. I'm happy with that. That's that letter for Martian. Okay, so let's get a nice orange going here. And here, how about right here? Let's just come out here like that and round this one out. So I can see that this is rounded out here like this. Okay.
Candy's asking if I have sealed it, is there any way to reactivate it?
No. Because remember, varnish or medium and varnish is plastic. You just layer plastic over it. So once you've sealed it, that's it. Unless you were to just, you could paint. If you went over it with more of the stuff, then you'd lose whatever you had underneath, and basically you're starting over. So no, you just have to. What I would suggest you do is get some small little canvases, 6x8 canvases, and just make some different little squares of this stuff and practice painting on them. Don't try to do a painting, just practice. See what it does. See what happens when you varnish over it, what you get. Experiment a little bit. I would say that this is not a terrible idea to do. Okay? It goes beyond not terrible. It's a rather good idea. All right, so I've got a little dark right there. I'm going to come up here like this.
I get a bunch of the 6x9s and just play with it.
Absolutely. Get some 6x9s and just see what it can do. Get 6x9s and see what it can do. That's absolutely what you want to do.
Thank you, Wendy, for putting in the standard colors of the ginger palette.
All right, thanks, Wendy. You just we appreciate that very much. We're making a little bit of a bright orange. Cad yellow medium, cad red medium. I want a bright orange. Okay. Bright orange color, and I want to say that I want a little bit of a bright orange color right here. Right in here, maybe. I'll just paint over that line just a little bit so it shows. And a little bit darker down here. Here, how about this? A little bit of orange down here, like that on the bottom, like this. Okay, so we're getting that one in. Now, the advantage of, and here's the deal, when you paint upside down, as opposed to right side up, okay? When you're painting upside down, you're much more likely to see the shapes. You know, you're going to see the shapes much better than if you hadn't, okay? So now I'm going to come around here like that. And I'm just using this, a little bit of water on the brush, a little bit of the burnt umber. Raw umber would have worked too, by the way. I'm going to just sort of define the outer layers of the top of this, okay? And then I'll just blend it all back with using water, blend it all back into this, okay? So it just sort of all kind of lightens up, and I can even put a little white with that. Look at that. See? I mean, you can keep playing with your background too. I mean, you've got some options with this painting, all right? You're not stuck with whatever clever thing you did earlier, which was terribly clever and you liked it, but you're not, you can change your mind. It's all right. All right, now let's take some white here and just come out here like that. Let's kind of a light yellow and do that. Light yellow in here. Let's come all the way down here like that with this. A little bit of white. Right like this. There you go. And I'm going to pinch the brush using just the side of it. Look how I'm blending that out. See, just almost like I'm trying to erase the edge. Okay, like that. See how that's blending? Okay. And then see, what do I know for sure? I know it's a little bit darker down here at the base. Like that. A little tiny bit of water on the brush. Okay, and pinch it. And then blend it. Just have it a little bit darker on this side. Okay. All right, kind of like that. See, I think I'm all out of magenta. So let's put some more out. And let's try magenta and white and see what we get. That's a pretty color. Again, that one might be pretty on here too. Ooh, I like that.
It's kind of like a fluorescent pink.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'm not against you know, jazzing up the colors in this. You know, we've already got a photograph, so now as an artist, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, that's nice. Where else could I put it? I kind of like that. Maybe I'll just put a little of that over here too, and just suggest some of that color in this one. We've changed the word now. We're probably saying, hello, we're so sorry you came. You know, we've changed the colors now, so we've offended all the Martians, but that's all right. But that's all right. So now we're going to put a little bit of a darker shadow right here. Here's a little red. All right, like that. There you go. A little bit of red. There you go. See, all this blends. This is a very different experience, I promise you, than it would have when you're painting just on a regular canvas. It really is. Okay, so let's just see. We said that this one was just sort of a. We were going to suggest a tulip by just a few little tulipy petals, or in this case, a few little Martian symbols. And then we're going to keep going on, and you're going, yeah, it's upside down. I don't get any of this.
Right now you're playing with the magenta, right?
We're playing with the magenta, and I'm playing with orange.
The orange, what was the orange combination? I think
just
that's
cad red medium and cad yellow medium.
Okay.
And I'm just going to come on down here.
And the magenta is just magenta and white.
Yeah, just did magenta and white because it made sort of a Pepto-Bismol pink, didn't it, kind of?
Which is allowed, whereas the golf course green is not.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
Gotcha.
Flowers can be as bright as you want them. You can get really garish with flowers. You can go right out of the tube with flowers.
Garish, I love that word.
You like that?
That's
garish?
a great word, garish.
I never understood the term gaudy. Gaudy. My mother used to say that's so gaudy.
That's so gaudy.
And it's gaudy. Gaudy was this Italian artist who was just over the top. When Cinnamon and I were in Europe some years ago, we went to his museum. And there, outside the museum, there was these tractor tires that were stacked up about 2 stories, kind of glued together. And sitting on top of those were big statues of angels, like you might find at a church.
On top of stacks of tires.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of thinking outside the box there, I think. You know.
That's really thinking way outside the box.
Well, it was, but nonetheless, that's what he did. So here we go. Here's a little bit of a highlight color.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing with when Ginger and I were looking for things to paint, looking at the old dead artist guys. You look at some of it and you go, really? And this is famous painting? I mean, some of it I just don't get. I feel like I'm missing something.
Well, you remember the story of the Emperor's New Clothes?
Oh, I love those new clothes.
You know, if you
They
guys
look great.
don't know that story, you know, the story, it was actually a fairy tale, but apparently this emperor was extremely vain, which doesn't sound like much of a fairy tale, you know, when you think about how those things go, but even, you know, that art mimics life kind of thing. But anyway, he's very vain. He was really into his outfits, and so he couldn't, nobody could, he just really, usually that's the women, but in this case, this guy really wanted his clothes to be admired by the public, and he always had these parades and was wearing new stuff, and so he offered a reward if somebody could paint, sew him something really marvelous. Okay, now I'm gonna remember this is curving this way. When you're copying upside down from something, become very aware of the shapes too, the direction that something's going. Okay, so if you have to, reshape something, don't be afraid to. So anyway, it says emperors. So these con guys come up to him and they say, it's not easy to do. It takes a lot, but we can make you these wonderful clothes, and they're invisible, and only the people that are intelligent or of noble birth can see them.
Yeah, noble birth.
Noble birth and intelligent. They're highly intelligent, noble birth. So he loved that idea, and they put him off for a long time. You have to read the whole fable, but anyway, the upshot of it is that he ends up there having a parade, and he's totally naked. And nobody
apparently you're not noble. When I saw him, it was a great perfect.
Nobody wanted to admit that he didn't look elegant, because they didn't want to be found out that they weren't of noble lineage.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this little kid in the street goes, "How come the emperor's stark naked and has no clothes on?" And then because but this sometimes happens with people. I remember taking this art course in college and being drugged to this museum, and there was some painting there, and it was just white. It was just white, kind of textured, but was white. And the art teacher was going, how great this was. And I'm going, in whose universe do you think this is great? I'm just curious,
I think it's the Martian universe.
I don't know if the Martians said they'd leave. They're going, what are these people saying? Not worthy yet. Keep going. Anyway, she says, well, the reason this is so fantastic is that nobody's thought of it before. I said, sure they have. And they thought, this is really stupid, let's not do it. Of course they've thought of it, right? But again, everybody, it's now at the museum, and nobody wants to pretend that they don't have any art knowledge and that they can't see it, because only the sophisticated and those that have great education can really appreciate how terrific this is. And my friend Jack White, who wrote a book, and you can, if he's still alive, you can get it from him. It's called The Art of Making It. I really love this book. It can't buy it at the bookstore. You got to order it from him. Jack White, artist. He was the first Texas artist. And he does a lot of cowboys. Really good artist. He wrote this book, and he said in his book, and I'm quoting Jack here now. He says that early, when the communists were still trying to destabilize the country, one of the things they did was they went around and promoted certain abstract artists, and thinking that somehow that would destabilize us. I don't know that would make any difference. Any artist is glad that it gets promoted, so I'm sure that's all right. But they weren't teaching abstract art in their country. And some of the best artists in the world, even today, come out of those Russian art schools. Oh my goodness, they're good artists. All right, but in any event, but what Jack may not have known was that most museums, and my mother told me this when I was a kid, required artists that where they took the modern art to see a portfolio of other stuff, because it's not easy to. If people think abstract art is easy to do, and it's not. It's actually harder than I know it's not, and unless you just have what we call happy accidents. Jack Pollock did a lot of happy accidents, but he knew how to cut the canvas, where he should cut the canvas to make paintings. He threw all that painting off the roof, all that paint, but then he knew he could see where the paintings were in the picture. He'd cut up the and he'd see where the paintings. John's looking at me like I've lost my mind. But anyway, but still, okay. So that got a little. This would be where drawing would be good.
You think?
Yeah, I probably want to take a drawing break here in a second, but I want a little bit darker around this tulip, this letter. whatever this is. Okay, so we're drying
Well,
this
what
now.
I have next is the Sylvia's mask, if you want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I would like to talk about that. I'm
So
going
you
to
can
just
let that sit there for a little bit.
okay,
as
just I
you-
want to just
when you
add
get
a little
ready.
bit of shadow here like that. Now see how I'm starting to add some shadows to this? You know, we're defining it. We don't want the Martians to get offended and everything. You know, so we're adding a few little shadows. Okay, so now we're starting to do that, and we'll do that down here too. A little bit of shadow to this one down here at the base. And around here, and the same with this one, a little bit of shadow. And you're wondering what shadows. I'm using just a little bit of burnt sienna, which is acting as great as a shadow. Okay, down here like that. Particularly these, and down here. Okay, so now, okay, so we're good, John. But let me just turn this around now. I just want you to see the difference that makes when you.
Oh, now it looks like tulips.
Oh, it just says hello. Sorry, it says hello. But I mean, all right. So now I want you to see that. So you see how that. You see how just painting it upside down can make a difference?
Oh, it just seems like it's a lot easier for a hand to even make the strokes that way.
Well, it's not even that. It's the fact that you're going to then see
The shape instead of
the
what it
the
is.
shape instead of the. And you're not going to get bogged down by the picture. You're going to you're just seeing shapes and colors. That's all you're doing. All right. And you know, which is real important. Okay, so you want to show me something. I'm going to do this for a second. I'm just going to add a little water to this, like this. See, I haven't woken up this background yet, so I can do this.
You're smoothing it out.
Kind of just smoothing it out a little bit here. Okay, so go ahead.
All right. This is from Sylvia's, the red mask. This was the first painting.
Yeah, this was her first painting, and this is what, you know, have personal art coaching. You'll notice that I don't suppose you have a picture of my mask somewhere on the wall that we can show people real quick, so they can see what she was painting, because I think that would help too. You know, she did. The red mask was something for our members to do. I mean, if you were a member of Ginger, every week we give you guys new things to paint. If you're a member of GingerCookLive.gallery, every week you get that. And so the mask was. You guys we did a blue mask on YouTube, and then this is the red mask that we did for Mardi Gras. All right, so I can show that real quick. I'll just show you. It could flash down to me. I want you to see.
Come back
All right, so
down to
this
you.
is the original. I want you to see the original lesson. All right, so here's the original lesson. Do you see that? All right, that's the original lesson.
Now we'll go back to hers.
Now we're going to go back to hers. All right.
That's her number one.
So that's her number one. So she has good shading around the mask, but you don't really see anything over the nose, and the actual braid or the trim around the mask you don't really see. All right. I like her feathers and everything. So then I write her back and I show her, photocopy a picture of my mask. All right, and tell her to add some light gold on scroll work on the mask and make sure she brings the mask over the bridge of the nose. All right. And so this is her final piece, and you can see that, you know, it's very nice, and she's got and it's actually brighter than that. She's got her feathers are brighter than that. But a lot of times, what happens when people send us pictures, you know, with their camera doesn't always catch it. But you see, that was anyway. That's what we do with personal art coaching. Is we, you know, make some suggestions so that you can just, you know, bring your painting up and you know, don't tell you everything we think that you could do, but just a couple things that can, you know, make a difference. So nice job on that. Okay, I'm glad we did that. And
Are you dry or you need to dry?
I think I'm all right. I'm going to just come back here with a little bit of paint now and just keep working on this.
Good fun.
All right, because you can see this is the flowers. Now this is a very, very soft background, which I really like. I mean, I appreciate this very, very soft background here. And I want to come up here if I wanted a little bit more color right here.
Wendy, are you talking about the mask? What color did you use for the light gold color? Or you have light gold on what you're doing?
I just used yellow oxide and white for the light gold color on that. Really, that's all I did was the yellow oxide and white. And people would think there would be a lot more to it, and there's not. I mean, look how light some of this color is. It's just a matter of us, you know, seeing what's light and what isn't. Okay. Now, what we want to do now is
Sharon's asking what's the difference between gesso and this ground coating?
oh gosh,
Night
that's
and
like
day.
asking the difference between baking soda and arsenic.
They're both white.
They're both white. And then after that, the gesso is is a substance in ground marble dust, basically an acrylic that goes on top of canvas so that you can paint on. It's not absorbent. Okay, it's not absorbent. Some is more absorbent than others. And this absorbent ground, by the word, it's a very soft mixture that they've got, that Golden's probably got a patent on.
Probably.
That when you put on your canvas, it allows it to feel like paper. Huge difference. It's just not even the same
put
thing.
Shredded paper in gesso.
You know, and I have no idea what it is, but whatever it is,
it works.
It's marvelous stuff. Okay, I guess you could ask them what it, go on their website and ask them what it is, but that's okay. So we're going to add a little bit more color here to this. All right, we're just kind of brightening this up. You know, reds are one of those colors. Even if you were painting a door in your house, reds are one of those colors. It behooves you to give yourself a couple coats. Did you know that? You want something to show up.
You. I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah, it behooves you.
Did your mother say that?
Mm-hmm. No, that's more than father did that one.
It would behoove you to straighten up.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that usually is a dire threat, isn't it? Usually that kind of comment usually comes with some sort of dire threat.
It's like when it's Jonathan. Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember, talking about mommyisms, I so remember some of the things that my mother said to me. I remember things like, there's not enough money in the world to pay people to pick up after you. Remember that quote? That was one of my favorite ones. Oh, yes, have you ever, here's one. Have you ever fluffed a pillow in your life? And she's fluffing the living room pillows and looking at me like somehow I've done something terribly wrong.
Well, you've been sitting on the couch all day.
Yeah, have you ever fluffed a pillow in your life? I remember that one.
Are you going to be a bump on the log all day?
Yeah. That was so. People always ask me. One of the hardest things for me was to learn meditation, because in my family, if you were sitting around meditating, they could. You have nothing to do. May I suggest something? So I always tried to look busy.
Oh yeah, my father's favorite. An idle mind is the devil's playground.
What's he said that?
All the time.
Really? Oh yeah. So I always was reading a book or and adding a little yellow here and stuff like that. I was reading a book. I was doing something, man, that made me look productive. How's that? My job was to look productive. I'm busy. I've got homework. I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got homework. I'd love to help you. I have homework. That was a good one too. Not that I ever did any, but it was a good idea.
It was the thought.
It was the thought, right?
You thought about doing it.
I thought about doing it. Absolutely, thought about doing it.
I think we're getting a nice looking painting myself.
You're liking how this is coming out, and you see this is all layers. I mean, here's a little yellow oxide to, just trim something down here like that, and we're getting some nice stuff here. Now I think it's probably time to try a little green, and that will sort of bring this together. Now we haven't put any green out because we're going to use phthalo. Let's see if we can actually read the words on the left. See, this says phthalo. Everybody's on the same page with me. That's phthalo, right? Yeah, we're going to make some green, and I think we're going to do cad yellow, and phthalo blue, and a little white. All right, and a little bit of yellow oxide. That will tone it down some. And I'll show you how I'm mixing this. Okay, and let's take a little more cad yellow. Let's grab all of that, and let's take a tiny bit of purple, which we put right there. Let's darken the screen up like that. Sort of, you don't want this real bright green. So now what we want to do here is I'm going to just come this way with this and put a green stem in like that. Kind of come down here. Let me just kind of push this up where I kind of see where it's going, like that. So we start to put these colors in, and now I'll take a little bit of the yellow, and right while it's still wet, I'll put it right over here like that, and wipe the brush off, because at that point you're just trying to deal with this paint like that. Kind of blend that in. Let's just pull a little bit up into the flower like this, okay? All right. So that's going to be this green, and then we've got some beautiful green. I'm going to add some more blue to this. And let's see, let's put some more yellow out. We're out of yellow. Cad yellow medium is a color we use quite a bit. Okay, so I'm going to put some more yellow out. And here we go. So I'm going to do more blue than yellow. Now I want this darker. And I'm going to add a little bit of magenta to that now. I want this darker green, okay? All right, so now it's not too bright. Now I'm going to come up on this side of this this tulip, and see, you just bring this around like that, okay? Okay, now, while that's still wet, I'll take some of that yellow, come right on top of it. Let's just, when you take paint, you don't want big globs of it. You just, so here it is, right on the edge here, like that.
It's,
Okay.
Jenny's
That's
asking if yellow orchid is the same as yellow oxide.
Yes, it is. Very similar. Close enough. Okay?
Close enough. We're doing.
So then I'm going to here, like that's coming up in stem. And then I think we said we wanted to, okay, so I want this green leaf right here that's kind of come around this one.
Apparently our
Like
stream
this.
has gone nuts for a second.
Okay, we've got what?
Our streaming just went nuts for a second.
Wow, okay. How are we doing? If
It
you
was
just
good.
maybe
up
about an
until
hour
then.
and a half, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, when this is usually this paint with ginger on Tuesday usually takes a little bit
No.
longer to
Well, the
paint
middle-
because we usually do a little bit more involved picture. See, I'm putting some
I'm
yellow
not sure
on
what
that.
feed we're going out, but the Midwest is under tornado warnings. The whole section is just
Are
totally
they?
red. And I don't know if we're shoot up through the Midwest and going over to YouTube.
Wow. Okay, so
You
we've
know,
got.
we're on a beautiful, we're on a information highway, so we don't know which road we're taking.
All right, so we're going to come over this one. We're going to come up on the bottom of this one. Do you see this? I wasn't worried too much about this one because we're hiding most of this. The one back here. Okay, and the same thing here. We're really not going to see the stem on this one. All right, because it's coming up this way. We're going to say here's our stem on this little tiny bit of water on the brush, so this flows. There you go. So here's this. This is coming all the way off the canvas now. Now I'm going to take a little bit more
great.
yellow to this,
The
right?
president's also speaking.
Oh, is he? Oh, well, good for him. So that's.
Well, it's probably fed on YouTube too, so.
Oh, it's going to be feeded. Well, of course it is. So, okay.
Hey, we do the best we can, people.
We do the best we can, you guys. We're only here, you just, there we go. So, all right. So I'm starting to put, you see, I'm
really
starting to
liking
get.
how that's coming together with that green. Really makes it really
Well,
pop
we
out.
needed the green, and a lot of
Absolutely.
times when you were doing stuff like this, you're going, I don't know, Ginger. Just, I think I want to change blues. Now everybody knows this is ultramarine blue. Okay,
You did that so quickly. How do we know for sure?
we're going to just read it. Can you read it? Ultramarine
Okay.
blue. Yellow makes more of an army green, so I'm going to just paint that in there. That's more of this army green color, like this. It's just more of that. Just a little bit more of a.
This
And
that.
then just coming up like this, I know I want a green here, and then I want a nice green leaf coming this way. I think I want one coming out like that. All right, something like this. All right, like that. There we go. That's pretty. And then maybe let's just say that maybe we've got something coming up this way too. Let's cross this one up here into front of this one. Now, I'll have to put some light colors on here too. Let's just bring that down like that. All right, so that doesn't balance, so we need a leaf. Remember, I had it drawn in here, see? This balances if we have a leaf coming this way.
Oh, Zoe suggested the name for this show is President Ginger Cook's State of the Union.
Ginger Cook State of the Union? Is that okay? All right, State of the Union. All right.
They're having major issues in Michigan trying to stay connected, and we're getting hammered. That's Dawn in Michigan, and Lori said the same thing.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. All right, so sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to take another little light leaf coming up this way. Maybe a shorter one right here. Okay, so now we've got these pretty, I think that's kind of nice. I think I almost feel like I want to bring this one up taller. It's not in the photograph, but I think I want to bring this one up taller like that.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough to do. Once you decided, and this would be, there we go. I'm going to bring this one up
Now,
taller.
right now, if you decided you did not like that, you could not.
Couldn't get it off.
No.
That's it. It's a
You're
done deal.
committed.
You better want that, right? But, and for instance, I know that I want a little bit of I think on the base of this one on the bottom, I don't want to see the bottom of that one. So I'm going to just sort of darken that
So it looks
tulip
like the
there.
storms are going from Indiana, must be like Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan.
Oh gosh, that's that's a lot of storms here.
Yep.
Okay, so now look,
That's
see what, so now I'm putting in some more color, see? And it's heavier paint, right? So I've just got some paint. This is white and green here, like this. It's light. See how I'm lightening lightening some of these up, right? A lot of yellow. I'm just kind of a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. Because this is still wet, we're mixing on the canvas. So now see, you know, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. Okay, so we're going to say that here's a little light one right there. How about up here like this? Going to lighten this side of this green leaf. Okay.
Down to
let's
Kentucky.
see. Now, I'm going to rinse the brush. Kind of, you know how we do it with the sky? See what I'm doing?
Same idea.
Same idea with the sky. You know how you just kind of go over something and just sort of melt out so you don't have a line? And just have a wet brush, wipe it off. This is a really good, I would say one of the advantages to using a canvas like this, and one of the things that you might really appreciate about it, okay, would be the fact that it does want to blend very well for you. If you're having trouble blending, this really does want to blend well for you. I have to say that for sure. This absolutely wants to blend really well for you. Let's see, I want this a little darker in here next to this one. Like that. We're going to darken that right there. Now, can you zoom out for me, please?
I can. Look at me. Watch me
We'll
do
see
this.
where we are with this. Okay, so you can kind of see where we are. You can kind of see our, okay, so you can see where we are with our tulips and everything. Now you can see where I want to maybe lighten something now that we're back out a little bit. Maybe I want to brighten one of these up a little bit. Now, if you're having trouble brightening something up, all right, then it doesn't hurt to dry it. All right, does not hurt to dry it. But I really kind of like this, and I'd like a little bit of I'd like a green petal coming right next to here too, just next to this plant. I think that would be nice.
Virginia's asking, how would you do the background if you didn't have the ground that you used? Would you still use the burnt sienna or another color?
Yeah, I would still do a dark. You could do a dark background like the photograph, but I think the brown's nice. You know what I mean? I think the brown is really nice, to do. So I'm going to say here's another green leaf. I just wanted a few more little green leaves here than perhaps they did, right? Yeah, you could. In fact, if we'd had time, I would have done one way and one the other. Does that make sense? At the same time, I just didn't figure how we were going to get that in. All right. So, that's the only reason I didn't do that. Okay. Now at this point. See, I'm still coming back with the light. I'm adding a few little light highlights on the leaves. All right, like that. And this doesn't, once you start getting paint on here, it doesn't really change that much as far as, how it would go on a normal canvas. Does that make sense? That doesn't change. Let's get the shape of this a little better. The blending, but what it does do is it's just easier to blend it. Much easier to blend it. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here that we could do that would be sort of fun? Let's say we've got this, and I'm liking all this, and I like I like all our nice stems and everything that are coming up like that. And now I want to take a bigger brush and let's see, what have I got? Nothing too big, but I want to take here, something like this. And I think I want to darken my corners again. See my corners right here? See how, what happened was that this lightened up on me. Does that make sense? When it dried, it got lighter.
Which is really kind of opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, normally acrylics dry darker, but on a ground like this, like on, what else you could use is stucco, but stucco would be really rough. All right, so I want to darken the corners like this and kind of do a vignette around here like that. So, see, now you can do another layer like that. You can kind of darken all this, okay? All right, and the same thing up here. I'm going to darken all this. Put a little bit of water with it. Because this is still absorbing, and it won't probably be as dark. Okay, this is still absorbing. See, just darken it up, particularly down here in this corner down here. Let's just darken this up here.
Oh, Lady
like
Wolfgang asked, does anybody know about the super chat button down there? Thanks for bringing that to our attention, lady. That is a way to donate to our channel. It costs us money to buy the supplies just like you guys do, and Ginger goes through 50 to 60 canvases a month. plus all the paint that goes with it. You click on that, you can contribute anywhere from $1 to $1 million. And if you gave us $1 million, we'd be your friends for life.
That's right. We'd all go on a cruise. We'll take everybody, right? We'll all go, right?
Yeah.
We'll all go on a cruise. That'll be fun. We'll all paint. Okay, so, all right, you see how we started to put the vignette around here, which is sort of cool, right?
Kind of like that.
All right. Now, for me, though, and I got to tell you, for me, just looking at it, so all we did, if you back way out, please.
Way out, I'm going.
Go way out, please. Go way out.
Way out.
Part of me wants to just get the top of this painted because it's really bugging me.
Somebody asked, why don't you paint your edges?
Because I don't have time.
Oh, excuse us.
But there. So I just wanted to make sure that you saw it. And on a big wide gallery wrap, you'd do the edges, but on a little one like this, it goes in a frame. You don't normally. Otherwise, I might. That's something. Normally it's you'd put a little picture like that in the frame. Okay, so I've got to tell you that right now, looking at this, okay.
Yeah.
If I'm just standing back looking at that, I've got a nice picture, some flowers and some green leaves, and that's okay. All right?
Uh-oh.
But I want something different here.
I knew it. It's going to be gingerized.
So what I'm going to do right now is, if you want to tell them a little bit about what we're doing here with I wanted to make an announcement real quick. This is the last day. Did you tell everybody? This is the last day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely last day.
This is our absolute last day up till midnight tonight, right?
And I'm not sure whose midnight that is.
I don't know. It depends on which midnight. You got an hour or two maybe to get our
free
downloadable lesson on our website. This is the last day for that. But if you've already got it, it's yours. We're not taking it away. If you own it, you own it. But if you haven't done it yet, this is our last day. And I wanted to also mention while I'm letting that dry that Thursday, our members get a new a lesson, and this is the Old English Truck. And this will be the exclusive lesson for our members, gingercooklive.gallery. On Thursday, we're going to be releasing that. Okay?
And that's a fun one. If you want to see somebody that makes corrections as she's going, that's a lesson to watch.
All right, so now I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to give this some thought about what I would like to do a little bit differently, okay?
Okay.
So just don't panic on me. It's just 9 o'clock. Don't panic. I'm just looking at that going, this is okay, but I'm going to dry it.
But it's going to be better.
Well, I may not. I just have to think about it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. All right, well, while she's drawing that, I don't think I have any other artwork to show you guys. If anybody has any questions, now would be the time to ask them. But I probably won't see them until after she's done drawing. But let's see what else we got going on. The website, we're going to have some original art for sale. We did have a problem with our gallery listings when they'd come up in little pictures. We found the problem, and we're still going through fixing that. So there's going to be a lot of changes to the website. We also have a form that we're going to get finished and get that fired up and ready to rock and roll. So there's a lot going on over at the website at gingercooklive.gallery. Well, please use the contact us when trying to contact us and not Facebook or any other method. And it's for those people that have Ginger's address from other times, she doesn't always read all those. It's better to go through the contact us form if you would, for all correspondence, unless it's something private to Ginger. But still, even then, contact us would be the better way to communicate with us. And Ginger's back.
All right, so I've got a little white and light green. Now I'm going to lighten some stuff up, right? I think I'm going to bring a little bit of light up here on this, that little leaf right there, a little stem. And I'll lighten this one up, a little bit of white, right like that. Now we're just starting to add our lights, okay, like this. And where else might I want a little bit of light? Right here maybe. Just soften this up just a bit. Barely touch it, it's been dry. How about this one right here? A little bit of that's yellow and white and that kind of light green color. And I want to come up here like this and just brighten that up just a hair. The same thing with this one, right like this. Gonna lighten this one up here. And might just put a little green up here, just to suggest there's some green above this one, just because it might be nice. Okay.
After looking at this, Rebecca was asking if you didn't want to use that sepia brownish tone that you use for the background, what other choice might be good? What other choice would you use?
Oh, well, when you're thinking about stuffing like that, right? So what's a complement? If you're going for orange tulips, blue is a complement of orange.
So a nice
Turquoise
blue.
blue kind of would be pretty,
Yeah.
right? The other thing is, let's see, what's that? I have something called translucent umber right here, translucent umber. And I want to just show you that. This is a translucent color. And you can, for instance, for instance, to me the green's too bright. Even though it's like the photograph, where we did the photograph, but to me that green is very bright, okay? So here's my translucent umber. Now what would happen if I just took a little translucent umber and toned back, just saying, tone back these leaves a little bit. Now look what happened. This is called glazing. It just glazed back over those. So they're still there, but they're just not so bright in your face. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is translucent umber. Let's just try that right there. Just saying. All right, and then this one we haven't done much to. Let's just do that. This is called glazing. We're just going to glaze those leaves back a little bit.
You're just adding a transparent color.
It's just a transparent color, little water. See, like that. And just suggest that we're just toning them back a little bit. We're putting it more into the earth tones of the flower. Does that make sense? So I mean that's just a possibility. You may or may not like it, but here we go. Here's a translucent, maybe up here like this, just a tiny bit, just to suggest there. All right. So I've just basically what I've done is I've toned these back. All right, so they're just not so bright. And glazing is a really good way to do that. And to me that looks, much better. And then part of me doesn't like all this yellow.
Really?
I don't like the yellow at all.
At all?
Not much.
Now the original had yellow, right?
The original had tons of it. The original had yellow, so it's very faithful to
Yeah,
the
it did.
original,
Yeah.
But I personally don't like it,
And what would you do instead to gingerize it?
Well,
what are you
I'm
thinking?
just saying. I mean, I like this. I like the translucent umber we just did. You know what I mean? I think that was sort of nice, right? I thought that sort of toned this green back beautifully, didn't it? This just toned all that back. Now we put it more into the earth tones with all of this, right? This sort of now kind of fits into the beige background where the green really didn't. Even though it was in the photograph. This is why sometimes just going from a black and white photograph is better than a color, because your problem is when you're going for color, you have a tendency to do whatever color the photograph is. It's just your mind will say, oh, I should do that color. And already I like this better than, and kind of push that back a little bit. And I want a little bit of a darker, leaf right there or something like that. So, all right. So
Suzanne is asking, when we're all done with and ready to varnish it, do we varnish it the same way we do all varnishings with the...
Yeah, all done. You make sure it's really dry though, because I think this stays wet a lot longer. So we're going to just go with red and white, and I'm just going to, let's just humor me a minute. I'm just going to lose some of this yellow. All right? Just a little bit of it. Just to me, there's just too much yellow, and I don't like it. But I mean, you could leave it. This is why we did this at the very end. All right, but I'm liking that better.
So basically we're using a pink. What would you use?
I'm just using red and white, which is
Red
a
and
pink,
white.
right? I'm just saying there's a pink color. Here's our tulip flower. Tulips comes in all kinds of colors, right? So already, I mean, to me, that's just, I'm kind of glazing over this with a little pink, right? So there can be a little yellow, but not as much as we had, right? And I want to take just a little bit of, let's see, do I have any, now what other colors do I've got in here, as long as we're playing? What's this color? So flowers are where you can get all the colors out. This is Cad Red Hue Light. All right.
Cad Red Hue Light. Ooh,
All right.
like
So
an
that's a
orangey.
really nice bright orange color. Let's see what happens if we add some of that. Here, let's just take that off the brush. Take that off. Okay. All right. Now already I'm liking that. Liking the brighter color right here in a couple places with the flower. I just think these were really, they weren't, because of the absorbent ground was kind of pushing all our flowers back a little bit too. So I can take some of that Cad Red and kind of brighten this up too. And again, this is a personal preference. I just wanted a little bit brighter flowers. What would happen if I put some white with that? What color would I get? That's pretty, sort of a salmon color. Yeah, that's nice too. If you want it, for salmon, like highlight like this. Okay. Just the yellow wasn't doing it for me. And
So Mother Nature got it wrong again.
no, they did the Dutch have been playing with tulips the way most people breed dogs. They've got more colored tulips than anybody on the planet. So just the sky's the limit with tulips, and we just those have to be the photograph on this one. And I just personally think that it helps to, I kind of like the I just to me I didn't like the yellow, so I'm taking it out. That's all. And I want you to know, as an artist, that you're allowed to do that. Just again, we're talking about, we're not historians. You just can, you can change something. You can take something out. You can turn it pinker, or just, we all see color differently. Just, people don't appreciate that. Here's a little magenta here too. I even like that probably better than the orange. That I played with the orange a bit. Okay, kind of like the magenta and red better than orange. But I wanted to try it. This is what acrylics can do. You can just layer, and here's a little dark red, deep red, right like that, just because I want it a little bit darker down toward the bottom. Green and red are complements, so you're never wrong when you throw a little red next to green. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're complements on the color wheel. But there you go. So see how that sort of popped those up a bit? I kind of like that, so I think that's very
Back it
pretty.
out a little bit so I can look at it. I heard you say that.
Yeah, back it up so that you can see. It's not about being so close up to this, right?
Well, not now. But
All
we
right,
got
so
to see your brush strokes when you're doing them. Come on.
Yeah, I know. But again, when you see me, you see how we've layered all these colors, right?
It's all
Now
about layering.
And I still can put some highlights in. I'm not against the highlights, right? So I can still come around and say, here's a highlight on this tulip, just some titanium white. Here's a highlight on a petal, on the flower.
Rachel put it down perfectly. Layering is our friend.
Yeah, now just like what coming back with a little white did at the very end. You see, all I did was just come back with a tiny bit of white, and that made a huge difference. See, like that. And those are the kinds of things that when you're. This is why people always say, well, how long does it take you to paint something? Well, there's drawing and stuff like this. You're looking at it, and you're looking at it. You got this far, and you're going, yeah, but I don't like the yellow. Then what? Okay, so then what do you do? So you change it, and it's got to be okay. You've got to give yourself permission to say, this isn't working for me. I want to change it. Turn it upside down, look at it in the mirror. I think these tulips would have been very nice. This whole thing would have been very nice all in neutrals if you'd kept it just almost like the black and white photo. Where did that go?
You turned it upside down.
Yeah, see, if you'd kept it all in neutrals and browns, you could done the whole thing. It would be very sophisticated if you hadn't put any color in the flowers at all. That's a different look, but again, this is sort of nice too, and I'm not against this either. This is very pretty too, and I like the fact that we tone the petals down. I love that toothbrush effect on here that we did. Didn't you like the toothbrush effect?
Absolutely.
And I'm not against that even now. Even over my flowers a bit. I'm not against that. That's because this is almost a decorative piece. Does that make sense? Not against that. See, just a little bit of. I like that. Like that. That just. To me, this is very what we call stylized art when you're painting something like this. But here, let's just put a little more of that toothbrush effect there, which is pretty. And I'm not against it, even with a little white and yellow. Let's try this for a second. Since you're just going to have fun with this now, you got to just at this point you can sit there and say, "Stop, Ginger. I like it the way it is," and that's okay. You can, but now look. So a little green here. Here on the bottom, and you can cover up your tulips. This is the other thing you guys don't know. You can do something like this and just cover up your tulips like that, and then just come back with the green and the yellow, and kind of spray your leaves a little bit too, and that can be very pretty. Now I'm going to take that off. See? Isn't that neat? So that then it becomes more of a decorative piece. I really like that right there. Okay. So anyway, I would say that that's pretty much, if I'm looking at that, I would say I'm pretty much done, John. I think this was fun. Did we get to tell everybody all the good stuff, and we're going to do something else tomorrow? But I think our tulips are fun. If you guys like flowers, and this is just one way to do some flowers, we have on our website this rose. This is available to rent now for $4.95 in our store, which I think is a really pretty painting. This is done, by the way, just on canvas panel board, right?
We just wanted to show you people how to do that.
You know, and you can paint on that. I mean, it's okay. This is one of my favorite pictures, the pansies. That's on our website available. And also one of this flower right here. You see, here's a pink flower with a darker background, which is nice too. See this very dark background with this pink flower? That can be very effective. But a lot of different ways to paint something. And I think that was this fun way to learn how to paint these tulips. And I think if you've got, one good trick out of this was to turn the whole thing upside down when you're drawing them in, painting them in. That might be a fun thing to do. So I have any questions before I
I don't
say
believe
goodnight?
so. I think we've got them all. Did
we sort of cover everything?
Yep. I think we did.
And you guys learned a little bit about translucent.
Oh, did you want to do anything with the wishing well?
Oh yeah, the wishing well.
You have it right
when
there.
when we filmed the wishing well, part of our picture-in-a-picture and stuff didn't film when we went to put it together. So I'm going to have to redo it and refilm it. And that happens. I'm going to refilm it, so it's going to be delayed a little bit, but we're going to film it, and I think we're going to make it bigger. So as long as I'm doing it, I'm going to do it bigger. So sorry about that. I'm really sorry that happened, but we're just sort of stuck. Why did I get this yellow green out?
I don't know. I thought you were done.
I was done.
I should always know better.
I just was going to put a little shadow right there. I don't know, something like that. All right. Actually, I think that's fun, John. I really like that. That's a fun way to do. Different style of painting. Lots of different ways to paint something, and that's a different style of painting. This would be a good one to
play with. Really?
I would probably do a matte varnish on this, not a gloss, because of this. Because this looks so old. Doesn't it? The background kind of look old and stuff. There's a little dot I don't want. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Here. Little finger
what dot?
painting there.
I don't see a dot.
No dot. Okay,
no dot.
So it's gone. This would be something that I might, because this background is so flat and it's going to dull very flat, I think that would be very pretty, is to do a matte varnish on this.
I personally would probably do a satin.
Well, satin, people are going to say, what's satin? Satin is half matte and half gloss. Because I really like this sort of, old
Yeah,
dark
but I still
background.
want the flowers to pop.
And then you want the flowers to pop too, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up for another fine evening here on Tuesday evening. Paint with Ginger Cook live on YouTube.
Let me get this yellow out of the way.
Why,
I think
the
this yellow is
nice.
very distracting.
Oh, I thought it looked good. Kind of pulled it together.
Yeah.
You're not in a yellow mood tonight, I see.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just, there's
No
a little
yellow.
of that yellow showing through. We got rid of a lot of it. Did you see that?
Yeah, but it looks good. I think you got a good one.
We toned it down a little bit and got a little bit, got rid of just a touch of it, which is.
Well, we thank everybody for being here. Tomorrow night we'll be back with an exciting new painting, and the subject will be, we don't know.
We don't know. So let's flash back to me for a second, and then we'll say
let me
goodnight
do
to
that.
everybody.
I know how to do that. I got it, Sammy. I know.
All right. So you guys, thanks for watching, and thanks so much. Remember, don't forget, if you didn't see the first part of that and you ordered some paint from the art store, make sure that you open them up and make sure that the paint inside is good. And if you came in late, be sure to watch the first part of this video, and we talk about that. And that's really, we want to thank Kelly for giving us
bringing
a heads
that
up,
to our attention,
because
absolutely.
one of my jars of paint's going back. All right.
Hey, and remember, please add us to your playlist, share us, mention us to your family and friends. Anybody that thinks they might want to paint, we're the people to teach you.
All right, thanks you guys. It was fun. See you tomorrow night.
Good night, Ginger.
Night, John. Good night, Sammy.
Sammy.
Good night, you guys.